Pull up, grab the fuel nozzle, and get ready to fuel up on trends and strategies to grow your travel center business in this episode of The Truck Stops Here, brought to you by the NATSO Foundation. Now, here's your host, Amy Toner.
Hello, and welcome to today's episode of The Truck Stops Here. I'm your host, Amy Toner. You are listening to The Truck Stops Here, the NATSO Foundation's podcast. The NATSO Foundation is a research, education, and public outreach subsidiary of NATSO. The podcast is just one of the many educational tools the foundation creates. Today, my guest is Mindy Long. Mindy is a freelance writer with deep roots in the industry who frequently writes for NATSO and the NATSO Foundation. Hey, Mindy.
Hi, Amy.
We usually read her work, but I thought it'd be fun to have her on the podcast. Since this is something she got to see in person, she attended the press event for FirstElement Fuel, a fast fueling hydrogen fueling station. So let's just get to it. Tell us about it.
Yes, thanks, Amy. It's fun to get to chat with you about this. So I was able to go to Oakland. We had a 2-day press event where we visited the location, which is just outside the port of Oakland.
Okay.
And then we were able to do a ride along in the truck. One of the trucks.
Oh, you did?
There. Yeah, so that was fun.
Uh-huh.
At the station, there are 4 light and medium duty dispensers, and then there are 2 heavy duty truck pumps. And so this facility is really catering to the heavy duty market, but they will have those lighter duty options available. And you mentioned it is fast fueling. That's what sets this one apart. It can fuel 200 heavy duty trucks a day, and it can fuel a Class 8 truck in less than 10 minutes. So,
are there any amenities like bathrooms or anything?
There are not. No, I actually asked about that with the driver I was riding with because there are no amenities. It is fuel, just fuel. They don't, when they build future locations right now, there are no plans to add amenities, but I asked the driver about that. And he said, because the trucks that are there now are mostly local operations. So he said, it's not really an issue. He said there are food trucks near there where he'll bring food from home. But that was definitely something I noticed is that there are no driver amenities there.
Hydrogen is very expensive. How is the project funded?
Yeah, so it is expensive. There were several groups that came together to help finance this particular location. So FirstElement Fuel has its own investors and, has funding there. And then they also received money from the California Air Resources Board and the California Energy Commission. And then during the event, they were telling us they also worked closely with the Center for Transportation and the Environment East Bay Municipal Utility District. So there was a lot of coordination to come together to make it happen. And also just to know, it wasn't part of this project, but FirstElement Fuel is a tier 1 partner in California's Hydrogen Hub Initiative, which is getting $1.2 billion from the Department of Energy. So they're going to use that hydrogen hub funding going forward.
Okay. And they also had some partnerships on the truck manufacturer side. Is that right?
Right. Yeah, there's so many elements that have to come together to make these projects work. But they are working with Hyundai. Hyundai was an early partner on this location, and they have deployed 30 of their fuel cell trucks at the site. And then Nikola has also just recently entered into a 10-year agreement to fuel at the location. So its trucks can fuel there as well in Oakland. And one thing that I thought that was interesting because Nikola is also rolling out stations through its Hyla brand. But their president of Nikola's energy division talked with me and said that they are focused really also on building partnerships. He said there are cases where it doesn't make sense to duplicate their efforts in an area. So this was one where they wanted to work with a partner.
Were they all at the press event?
They were. Yeah. Nikola was there and had representatives. They had the chair of California Air Resources Board, folks from several different agencies in the state. And then Hyundai Cummins was also there taking part in the event. So it was really well attended.
Was it like a good energy, everyone? It seems like an exciting project.
Yeah, everyone was really excited. They were really excited to have it. It's launched, it's off the ground. The contract customers are fueling there now. It will be open to the public, but it is not yet open to the public. They're waiting on final inspections, but they expect that to happen in May.
Okay. So how far are the fleets going using the hydrogen? What are they hauling?
Yeah. So right now, the Hyundai trucks are used in drayage operations. Because this is right by the port, it'll probably be a lot of drayage trucks, which oftentimes those do tend to be older trucks. And so that was one of the reasons focusing on the port was important for the different state agencies. So the Hyundai trucks are being operated by Global Expedited Freight. And the drivers are picking up containers once they're unloaded off of the ships, and then they're taking them about 150 to 200 miles from the port. So they're not really going over the road. They're taking those containers and then coming back.
Mindy, can you tell us about the actual fuel? Is it liquid hydrogen or gas? I know you said something about the cryo pump technology. What is it?
Yes. So that is one of the things that makes this station unique is it does use liquid hydrogen, and the cryo pump technology actually uses different pump drives, software, and a compression cylinder. So it takes that liquid hydrogen and converts it to a gas, which is what the truck needs, directly at the pump. So the liquid hydrogen is more dense, so it takes up less room than if you were storing the hydrogen in a gaseous form. So facilities can have a smaller footprint. They said it's about 1/30th of the size compared to if you were storing the hydrogen already in a gaseous form. And also it lets them deliver more in a trailer because it is more dense and gaseous. I didn't know this, but as you draw down the gaseous hydrogen, they said in the trailer, you draw down the pressure, so you can't empty it all the way. So once you unload about half of the gaseous hydrogen, you can't empty it the rest of the way. So it isn't quite as efficient. And then the liquid hydrogen is very cold, and that actually helps them. They use that the high density and the temperature to help enable those fast fuels. So it all hinges on the liquid. One thing they did say right now, the trucks are running on hydrogen in a gaseous form, but these pumps could also deliver it in a liquid form right to the truck if new technology, allows trucks to run directly on liquid hydrogen.
Now this question comes from Ginger Laidlaw. She's our Vice President of Alternative Fuels Council, and she said I should ask you whether the hydrogen was gray, blue, or green.
Yes, that was actually something they spent quite a bit of time talking about during the event. Yeah, because, that is a concern that people have because natural gas is used to help produce the hydrogen, but they are using green natural gas. They are getting it from the biomethane from different sources such as landfills, dairies, wastewater. So they were definitely focused on letting us know that it is green hydrogen technology.
Okay, good question, Ginger. Okay, so of course, I was interested to hear that they contracted with Pilot Company to deliver the fuel. And I know you had also said that the fuel was produced by Air Liquide and transported by Pilot. How is it stored after all that?
Yeah, so it is delivered as a liquid, and then they have a liquid storage tank on site at the facility. And it is basically like a giant thermos was how they explained it. It has insulation and a vacuum to maintain extra temperature, so it doesn't need any extra energy. It will start to warm up after a certain amount of time. They said it'll take about a week. If it isn't used within a week, it can start to have burn off and lose about 1% a day. But as long as that liquid is being drawn down regularly, then burn off is not a concern for them.
Okay. So I kind of asked about the atmosphere, but what did the drivers think about hydrogen trucks? What was their feedback?
Yeah, so it was fun because they did have drivers there operating the trucks. As I said, I got to go on a ride along all around the port. The driver I talked to really liked the truck. He liked that it was quiet. It was easy to operate. He said, it was a lot roomier in the cab. He also liked that the fueling experience was very easy. He said it was very similar to diesel. You just pull up to the pump, you swipe your card, you attach the nozzle, and then you're done and you go on your way. So overall, the drivers really seemed to like the trucks and liked how they felt when they were operating them and were enjoying the experience.
Did they say how long it takes to fuel?
He said it's fast. It's about 10 minutes, 10 minutes or less. And so, it is a quick fueling process.
That is truly fast filling. Okay. What are their plans for the future?
So they are looking to expand. They plan to open between 12 and 15 locations over the next 5 to 7 years. So they are hoping to grow and expand primarily in the West Coast, before moving on to other areas.
And with all those partners, I'm assuming.
Right. And they do have the funding that they're getting from Arches. So that will help
Right.
fund some of those stations. And one of the things is, hydrogen is expensive. It's about twice the price of diesel. And so their hope is that once they get more stations, once more trucks are on the road, that they can help drive those costs down.
Okay. Anything else I missed before I let you go?
The other thing was safety. They talked quite a bit about safety because it is a concern. Liquid hydrogen is negative 423 degrees Fahrenheit, I think. So, there are safety concerns, but they also felt like there was a lot of misperception in the public about safety. So they want to try and change that. There are strict codes and standards that they have to adhere to. They are already operating retail stations. They have 41 retail stations and said they have done nearly 3 million fills, and there has not been a safety incident, even when customers have made mistakes. They said, customers have dropped the nozzle. There have been things, we make mistakes. So even when customers have not done everything correctly, they've never had a safety incident.
So I told you I was going to skip my fun questions, but we have time. So I want to ask you, okay, what's your favorite on the go snack?
Oh, I love hot tamales candy.
Oh, okay, that's my one. Okay, do you prefer to ride or drive?
Ride.
Ride. Yeah, me too.
Right.
Okay, if you're stuck in a snowstorm, stuck in a truck stop in a snowstorm, how are you going to pass the time?
I am probably going to talk with anyone who will talk back to me.
I feel like you can get a lot of stories written of that if that actually happens, although probably not in Arizona. Okay, and then we always end with our faux controversial one, which is it truck stop, travel plaza, or travel center?
Oh, I think I'm so used to writing truck stop or travel plaza. When I work on stories, I just naturally include both.
It has to be both. All right. Thanks, Mindy.
Yes, thanks, Amy.
Okay, and thanks for listening to today's episode of The Truck Stops Here. You can find us online at natso.com/podcast. If you have questions or you'd like something answered or covered on the podcast, please reach out to me at editor@natso.com. Bye.
The Truck Stops Here was brought to you by the NATSO Foundation, the research, education, and public outreach subsidiary of NATSO. The Truck Stops Here is produced by the NATSO Foundation in collaboration with Human Factor. Producers are Amy Toner and Darren Schulte.